Ever wish you could get into real estate without needing, like, a ton of cash to start? Well, today we're diving into a strategy that lets you do just that, real estate wholesaling.
Yeah, it's a really cool advice. Basically, you're the middleman. You
Okay.
connect sellers who need to get rid of properties quickly and investors looking for, a good deal.
So you're not buying the property, you're buying the contract.
That's the idea. But you're not just buying any contract.
Gotcha.
The key is to find these things called distressed properties,
Okay.
homes that are, often below market value because the seller is in a tough spot, needs to sell fast.
Like what kind of situations?
Foreclosure, inherited properties that need a lot of work, even just a homeowner facing a sudden life change.
Okay, so step one is finding these distressed properties. But, like, where do you even start looking for them?
Well, you'd be surprised. A lot of opportunities are right there in front of us.
Really?
Online platforms, Zillow, Realtor.com, even Craigslist can be gold mines.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You're looking for listings that have been sitting for a while, maybe with price reductions.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a sign a seller might be, getting desperate.
Makes sense. What about driving for dollars? I've heard that term. Is that like literally driving around looking for rundown houses?
Exactly. It's old school, but hey, sometimes the best deals are offline.
Right.
Look for boarded up windows, overgrown lawns, those sad for sale by owner signs that have been bleached by the sun.
Yeah.
Those are often a sign of a motivated seller.
All right. Finding the right property, that's step one. But then comes the whole approaching the seller part.
Right.
And that just sounds intimidating to me. Any tips on making that initial contact?
Well, remember, you're coming to them with a solution, right? Be upfront. You're an investor looking for off-market deals, builds credibility. When you make an offer, remember, they're probably looking for quick, hassle-free.
Okay. But how low can you really go with an offer? Is there a risk of insulting them, especially if they're already, in a tough spot?
It's a balance for sure. Common starting point, I'd say around 70% of a property's market value.
70%. Okay.
Now, that leaves room to make a profit, but it still offers the seller a way out.
Right, right. Okay, 70% is the starting point. But what if they just say no? I imagine there's a lot of rejection in this business.
Absolutely. Be ready for a lot of no's before you get that yes.
Okay.
Don't give up easy, though. Professionalism, persistence, that's key. Reiterate the benefits your all-cash offer, how fast you can close.
All right, let's say you found a property, negotiated a price they agreed to. What's next? This is where I imagine it gets a bit more legal, right?
Exactly. This is where the contract comes in. You'll need a standard purchase and sale agreement.
Okay.
You can find those online or through a real estate attorney.
Okay, so standard real estate contract. Anything specific I should watch out for as a wholesaler?
There's one thing you absolutely can't forget, the assignability clause. This gives you the legal right to transfer the contract to another buyer. Without it, wholesaling wouldn't be possible.
So the assignability clause, that's what makes the wholesaling magic happen.
Exactly, the linchpin of the whole thing. This lets you step out of the deal while transferring the right to buy the property to someone else.
And that's how you ultimately make your profit.
You got it.
Okay, we'll dive into the specifics of that after you, I guess we'll just keep going.
Sounds good. So now you've got the property under contract. It's time to find a buyer.
And this is the part that's always seemed like a mystery to me. Who are these buyers? How do you find them? Is there like a secret handshake or something?
Not quite, haha. The most common buyers, though, are real estate investors, especially the ones who flip houses or hold them for, rental income. They're always on the lookout for properties below market value.
Okay, so no secret societies. But how do I actually connect with these investors? Do I just, like, start handing out business cards at Home Depot?
There are more targeted ways to go about it, I'd say. Networking is big in this business.
Yeah, yeah.
Look for local real estate investment clubs, online forums where they gather. You can also connect with real estate agents who specialize in those kinds of investment properties.
So it's about building relationships, getting your name out there. But let's say I found a potential buyer. How do I present the deal to them? Like, how do I get them excited about it?
It's all about the numbers.
Okay.
Investors want a solid return on investment, so you need to have a clear breakdown, the after-repair value, your estimated repair costs, and of course, your asking price.
So if I've got a property under contract for, let's say, $100,000, I need to figure out how much it'll be worth after I fix it up, and then factor in the cost of those renovations.
Exactly. Let's say you estimate after a $20,000 renovation, it could sell for $150,000. That gives the investor a potential profit of $30,000.
Okay, I see the profit for the investor, but where do I fit in?
Your profit is the difference between your contract price with the seller and what you sell it for to the investor.
Oh, okay.
You're adding value by finding the deal, getting it under contract, and that's what you're getting paid for.
Gotcha. So in our example, if I have the property under contract for $100,000 and the investor is willing to pay $120,000, I make a $20,000 profit.
Exactly. You've wholesaled the property without ever owning it.
That's pretty incredible. But I imagine finding the right buyer and negotiating that price. It's not always a walk in the park, right?
It definitely takes some, finesse,
Right.
negotiation skills. Remember, you need to present a compelling case to the investor, show them why this is a deal they can't pass up.
This all sounds very promising, but I'm sure some of our listeners are wondering, are there any legal pitfalls to watch out for?
It's always crucial to be transparent and ethical.
Right.
Be upfront with the seller and the buyer about your role. Make sure the contracts are clear, legally sound. And of course, it's always wise to consult with a real estate attorney if you have any doubts.
Solid advice. Transparency and a good lawyer, those are essential in any business, especially real estate. Now, I'm curious about the actual transfer of the contract. How does that process work?
Once you've found a buyer, agreed on a price, you'll use an assignment contract to legally transfer your rights and obligations to the investor.
So it's basically like a legal handoff of the contract.
Exactly. This assignment contract clearly states that the investor is now, stepping into your shoes as the buyer. Make sure all parties understand and agree to those terms.
It sounds like having a good real estate attorney is pretty crucial throughout this whole process.
Oh, absolutely. They can guide you through all those legal details, make sure the paperwork's in order, protect your interests.
Okay, so we found the property, negotiated with the seller, got that contract with the all-important assignability clause, found a buyer, and now we're ready for I guess, the grand finale, the closing.
Right.
So what happens now? How do I actually get paid?
So at the closing, the title company, or sometimes a closing attorney, and they act as this neutral third party, making sure all the documents are signed, funds are distributed properly. They'll make sure the investor's money gets to the seller, and you'll get your assignment fee, which is your profit, directly from them.
So I'm not like walking out of there with a suitcase full of cash.
No. Not quite a movie scene. Usually it's less dramatic. Funds are usually transferred electronically or, a check.
Okay, good to know. Now, I'm sure some folks listening are thinking, do I need a real estate license to do all this? It seems pretty specialized.
Yeah, that's a common question. The good news is you don't need a license to wholesale properties. Remember, you're not an agent, not listing properties, representing buyers or sellers. You're just facilitating that transaction by assigning your contract rights.
That makes it a lot more accessible then, right? But what about the legality? Is wholesaling even legal?
It is legal, yes, but it's important to know the rules in your state. Some states have stricter disclosure requirements than others, so do your research, make sure you're operating within the law.
So transparency is key, and probably always a good idea to have a real estate attorney just to, double check everything. Okay, let's talk money. How much can someone realistically earn doing this?
The earning potential in wholesaling, it can really vary a lot. Depends on the market, the deals you find, your negotiation skills. But a typical wholesale fee, I'd say anywhere from a few $1,000s to, tens of thousands per deal.
Wow, that's quite a range. And you're not even putting down your own money to buy the property. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the big advantages. Low barrier to entry. You don't need a huge investment to get going. Makes it a good strategy for people who are just starting out, want to be real estate entrepreneurs.
Okay, so just to recap, wholesaling, we're talking about finding a distressed property, negotiating a good price with a motivated seller, getting that contract, making sure it has the assignability clause, right? And then you find an investor who's willing to pay more for the deal, and you never actually own the property.
You got it. It's all about leveraging your knowledge, your networking, your ability to spot those opportunities. You create win-win situations for both the seller and the buyer and make a profit for yourself.
I think we've covered a lot today. Hopefully everyone listening has a better grasp on what real estate wholesaling is, how it all works. But before we wrap up, any final words of wisdom for folks who want to explore this further?
Wholesaling is a great way to get into real estate, but it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It takes work, dedication, and a willingness to learn. That's key. Educate yourself, connect with some experienced wholesalers in your area, and then take action. That's the most important part.
Great advice. Knowledge is power, right? The more you know about real estate, the better you'll be at spotting and taking advantage of those opportunities.
Here's a final thought, I'd say. Start paying attention to the real estate in your own neighborhood. You might be surprised what you find, those hidden gems just waiting to be discovered. A little bit of hustle, a good eye for opportunity, you can turn those overlooked properties into profitable deals.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive into real estate wholesaling. Hope you found it informative, got you thinking. Until next time, happy investing.